The South African Depression and Anxiety Group, SADAG, is calling on the class of 2024 to remain calm as they await their matric results next week. More than 100,000 candidates sat for the 2024 National Senior Certificate. The organisation says it's receiving at least 2,000 calls a day, with matriculants among those who are seeking counselling and assistance with their feelings of anxiety. They fear that not receiving the intended results will be a stumbling block to their future. This, they say, is manifesting into feelings of uncertainty and nervousness. The South African Depression and Anxiety Group says their phone lines are ringing non-stop. Volunteers are hard at work trying to give hope to matriculants and calm their anxieties. All right, and for more on this conversation, we now speak to Roshni Parbhoo-Seetha. She's the project manager for the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. She joins us now via our video link. Roshni, thank you so much for your time this evening. Now, as the class of 2024 awaits for their results next week, how daunting is this for many matriculants across the country?
Hi, Mbali. It is incredibly daunting for so many. I think we all know what that feeling is like, waiting for those results, writing these exams throughout the year, getting ready for these exams was so scary and so overwhelming for so many of them, for most of them. And waiting for these results is so incredibly daunting, causes so much anxiety. And so many of them just waiting these next few days creates all of this anxiety, all of this stress, and not just for our matriculants, but also for their parents, their caregivers, not knowing what to expect, not knowing what their future holds. For a lot of them, this last 12 years, this is what it all comes down. And so, yes, it's incredibly daunting. And a lot of them are calling us and are feeling that sense of anxiety.
And talking to you about, the amount of people who are calling in to your services. I mean, it is quite a large number of matriculants who are concerned about the results that they may receive next week.
So we receive up to about 2,500 calls a day, and many of them are from matriculants. Some of them are from parents, some of them are from caregivers, some of them are from educators, just worried about how to support your matriculant and how to let them know that I am here for you, regardless of what these results are. How do I support them? How do I let them know that I don't care what those results are, I am here for you? And so many people are asking, so many parents, so many educators, so many caregivers are saying, what do I say to them? So many matriculants are asking us, what if I don't get the outcome that I was expecting or wanting? Is there a plan B? Is there a plan C? And I think they are just looking for that reassurance that there is. And you need to remember that. I think that's the most important thing for our matriculants to remember, that there is a plan B, there's a plan C, and then there's even a plan D. A lot of our matriculants only see the immediate result and only what they were expecting and what they wanted to do. But our matriculants need to remember that should you not get the result that you wanted, we can find another plan. There is another option. That's what I want them to remember.
And you play a very important role, right, in uplifting these matriculants, especially those who are quite anxious in terms of, the kind of result that they may, get next week. And where do you even begin to keep them motivated, to ensure that, it's not the end of the world, especially when they await a very important and a crucial moment in their lives where their life is essentially beginning?
I think it's so important for them to remember that this is just one part of your journey. And because it has taken these 12 years, and so many of our school leavers or our matriculants don't remember that you have made it through these 12 years. And that in itself is such an incredible achievement. And they forget that. So many parents forget that. As a parent, you yourself have achieved so much. Getting through those 12 years. We have been, as the South African Depression and Anxiety Group, with the Gauteng Department of Education and the Matthew Beniwe School for Leadership and Governance, we have been into so many schools, and we've seen what these kids have had to go through to get through those 12 years of schooling. So that in itself is such an incredible feat, and remember that, number one. that just getting to this point, you should be so incredibly proud of yourself. But number one is that it is just one part of your journey. There is so much that awaits you. And there are other options for you. And so when our matriculants don't receive the results that they want, they are so disappointed and so disheartened. And they don't see that there is a bigger picture. There is light at the end of the tunnel. And as the South African Depression Anxiety Group and the counselors at the South African Depression Anxiety Group, it is our job to remind them about that. That there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are other options, and that's what we are there to do.
And maybe talk to us then about, some of the assistance that you are giving, to these matriculants. I understand that, of course, when they reach you as a SADAG, of course, there is some sort of conversation that takes place. But what other measures are there to ensure that they do get the necessary support?
So when someone calls us at the call center, a counselor will answer the call, will speak to them. And for a lot of people that do call us, that's all they really need is someone to speak to, someone that is not going to judge them. And often people don't speak to someone because they are so scared of being judged. And so having someone that's not going to judge you, that is going to listen to you and listen to what you are feeling and explain to you that those feelings are absolutely normal, and normalize those feelings for them. It is okay to feel overwhelmed. It is okay to feel anxious. It is okay to feel stressed. And to normalize those feelings and to say, okay, fine, you are allowed to feel this way. But after you feel this way, we also need to figure out what are you going to do if you don't get the results that you want. And so what are your other options? What do you like doing? What do you enjoy doing? And so what was plan A? And what could plan B and plan C be? And so helping them figure that out helps take that stress off their shoulders. That, okay, well, if we don't get the result we want, I do know that I have other options. And realizing that those options are there helps them realize that, okay, there is a bigger picture and there's something that I can do. But when you call the South African Depression Anxiety Group, we have an extensive referral guide where we can tell you who you can speak to, where you can go, what your other options are, how you can rewrite if you want to do that. But we also have support groups. There's a matric support group that you can join. There are so many things on our social media, for example, especially to get them through these next few days when you are feeling so incredibly anxious. What can you do to get through those next few days? Because sitting at home and worrying about what's going to happen is not going to happen. Doing something as simple as taking a walk outside or speaking to someone will help as well. So just having that person to talk to is already the first step to feeling better.
And what is your message to matriculants across the country, the class of 2024, as we edge closer now to next week when the Department of Basic Education releases those matric results?
Our message as the South African Depression Anxiety Group is that, number one, we are so incredibly proud of you already for getting this far and for writing your exams. And whatever the outcome is, we can get through this together. There is always hope at the end of the tunnel. And if you feel like you have no one to speak to, the counselors at the South African Depression and Anxiety Group are there for you. We are there to listen. We are there to offer hope. We are there to offer help. Reach out to us, speak to someone.
All right, Roshni, thank you so much for your time, ma'am. That is Roshni Parbhoo-Seetha. She is the project manager for the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. Of course, just telling us there that SADAG has been receiving a number of calls from matriculants who are quite anxious as they await the release of the matric results for 2024.